In this video, we'll be talking about the Fallout deck science. We'll be going through the deck in its entirety and talk about the good cards in it, giving my thoughts and opinions on some of the cards, and then talking at the end to see if this deck is worth, in my opinion, to see if people want to buy it or not, to kind of give the little push type of thing. So if you've never seen these type of videos before, I go over the commander, the sub-commander, and then go through each of the card types like creatures, artifacts, and lands and stuff like that, and then give a very end opinion at the very end. So if that's all you want to see, go watch that bit, but it will be very nice if you want to watch the whole thing and help me out. So when it comes to this deck, the commander is Dr. Madison Lee. For a blue, red, and a white, you get a legendary creature, human scientist, that is a mythic. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get an energy. Tap, pay an energy, tag a creature, gets +1/+0, and gains trample and haste until end of turn. Tap, pay 3 energy, draw a card. Tap, pay 5 energy, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and is a 2/3. So as I'm going to be very biased in this, I don't like energy as a concept in Magic the Gathering. I do understand it and I do think people do enjoy it, but for me it's just not a thing. I'm not a big fan of it. But this is quite a good commander. If you don't know who Dr. Madison Lee is, because you don't like Fallout stuff, she is absolutely huge scientist, especially in 3 and 4. In 3, she helps you and your father clean the water, and then in the other one, she's like in the Institute, but was with the Brotherhood, then betrayed the Brotherhood for the Institute, and it's a big complicated thing, but again, she is very known, and that's why I'm actually happy she's one of the face commanders. As a commander of the whole, she seems to be more of a do-nothing, in my opinion. Yeah, she does get to power up your creatures, draw, and get used to return artifacts and probably all normal creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield, but overall, I'm not the biggest fan because herself doesn't really attack or block. She's kind of more of a enchantment, but a weird enchantment. It's pretty much like you get to pick one of the 3 abilities depending on how much energy, and again, it seems to be she's more of an enchantment commander. I would love if there was more interaction with her, like if she done something, that would have been great, but again, I'm happy with the way they built it already. So now let's go on to the sub-commander. Democracy is non-negotiable. I will always hear that because I've beaten 3 so many times. 4 I've only beaten like a handful of times, but 3 I have beaten way too many times that I will always hear that voice every time I hear that line. But the sub-commander is Liberty Prime Recharged. For 2 blue, red, and a white, you get a legendary artifact creature robot that is a mythic. It has vigilance, trample, and haste. Whenever Liberty Prime Recharged attacks or blocks, sacrifice it unless you pay 2 energy. 2 and tap it, sacrifice an artifact, you get 2 energy and draw a card, and it is an 8/8. A 8/8 for 3 keywords for 5 mana is absolutely amazing. Now, of course, they had to put the downside of it, that whenever it attacks, you have to pay, or blocks, you have to pay 2 energy to kind of use it, but with how much energy cards that are going to be in this and how easy it is, to be honest, I seen the Game Nights episode where they actually showed this off, and to be honest, they gave it to the perfect person and they played it absolutely amazing. I did not ever think that if someone's like, oh, I'm going to take control of your commander, you're just like, yeah, I pay 2 and tap and sack it to itself. I'm like, oh yeah, you can do that. That's wow. To be honest, if I was ever to play this, I would be doing the same. I would be playing it as my commander. I think it is a better commander out of the 2, especially since Dr. Lee has the return creature card. So if you want to sacrifice Liberty to it, like to the graveyard, you can then use Dr. Lee to return it back, which is a really good way to play in my opinion. But I understand why Lee was the face commander and Prime, Liberty Prime, was the co-commander, sub-commander, whatever you want to call it. Now, when it comes to the rest of the deck, I'll be going through it, but when it comes to this type of stuff, I'm going to try my best not to give out about energy, and I'm going to try my best not to fanboy over cards. I'm going to try and make it plain and simple as much as I can, so let's start off with the creatures. In this deck, you have a total of 23 creatures, and you get creatures like a Sultron Dominator, Brotherhood Scribe, Curry Emerge Intelligence, Loyal Apprentice, Red Death Shipwrecker, Steel Overseer, James Wandering Dad, Nick Valentine Private Eye, Paladin Dance Steel Maverick, Red Cyberhound, Synth Eradicator, Arcane Ganon, Elder Owen Lions, Whirlwind Brain Warmind, Stolen Ciliacrium, Whirler Rogue, Sentinel Sarah Lions, Sentry Bot, Sean Father of Synths, Synths Infiltrator, the Motherlode Excavator, Behemoth of Vault Zero. So one of my favorite things about this is that you get creatures from like all the Fallout games. I don't know much about the Behemoth of Vault Zero, so I'm actually going to look this up. If there's any cards that you've seen, or if you are a Fallout fan that you would have loved to seen or like have in the deck, please let me know. When it comes to this one, I'm happy with everyone that's in it. That is a scientist. That reminds, because you get your father and then you get father depending on 3 and 4, and there's a lot of other scientists and stuff like that. The only thing I could think of that may be cool is if they added like plasma grenade or something like that as an artifact, or as a creature or something, like something when it comes to the Enclave. I haven't seen anything Enclave-y, but there was a few Brotherhoods like main characters. But again, I know when it comes to this, there is way too many characters to push into a small thing like this. So one thing I'm going to do that starting from now on, instead of doing instants and sorceries, I'm just going to put them down as spells. So we're going to be going over the spells of this deck. In this deck, you get a total of 12, and they are Electro Cipher, One with the Machine, Bottle Cap Blast, Austria Command, Open the Vaults, and Wake the Past. These are absolutely amazing sorceries in my honest to God opinion. Some of them I really love. Bottle Cap Mines, absolute love, so powerful. Still hear that cha-ching sound whenever it explodes. Open the Vault is such a really good card, and there's a lot of good cards that I'm happy with when it comes to the instants and sorceries of the deck. The only thing I could ever think of adding into this that I think would be absolutely amazing is Chaos Warp, being the crazy perk land. You know, where it's the face and the swirl and you get to see weird stuff like the Indiana Jones, like in the fridge, the dogs playing poker, that perk that you get at the start of New Vegas. That like perk symbol with Chaos Warp would have been probably my favorite instant or sorcery when it came to this. But now let's go on to the artifacts of this deck, and I say there's going to be many. When it comes to the artifacts of this deck, there is 22 in total, which again, as I thought, a lot, but 9 of them are mana rocks, so let's go over some of the rest. Automated Assembly Line, Expert Level Safe, Plasma Caster, T45 Power Armor, Brotherhood Vertibird, Camp, Mystic Forge, Panharmonicon, the Predwin Steel Flagship. Now when it comes to this, I've been thinking of all the Fallout adventures I've done. I do know that there's like the ship from Mothership Zeta, but I would have preferred like the Mothership would have been a really good artifact creature, or the steamboat that gets you into the DLC in Fallout 3 with all the crazy like ghoul and brainy stuff. But again, this is just more, there is a lot when it comes to the Fallout universe, and I know they had to jam pack it in. So I know there was always going to be some things that I'm like, would it be nice if they did this? Stuff like the Mesmerizer as a weapon, great card, just kind of like an artifact or a sorcery spell that just lets you take a creature or something. Great card. But now we're going on to the enchantments of the deck, and in this deck there is 5 enchantments, but I won't be going over all of them. But there is a really cool thing that they've done with enchantments that I'm really happy with, so let's go over some of the cool ones now. Over Encumbered, Mechanized Production, Vault 112 Sadist Simulation, Vault 13 Dweller's Journey. Now having a win con in a deck is absolutely hilarious to me, because I know there's so many people that are against, if it says you win the game on it, it's a stupid card to jump me in the deck, blah 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 blah. But again, having that, even wizards and stuff are putting it in, and again, Mechanized Production when it comes to the Bottle Cap Factory would have been good. Also would have been good if they added in like a few bottles of Sarsaparilla. Try and say that 5 times fast. Sarsaparilla, that can't do it. But again, that again is a thing that I know was so niche. Bottle caps are the main thing. Nuka-Cola is the main thing. There's a whole DLC on it, so that's why I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine. When it comes to the vaults, I'm really happy with. I'm happy that they've done it as enchantment or enchantment sagas, and the way they did it is really cool. I wish they had more vaults since there's so many, and so many good and unique ones, but again, I know that they had to dumb it down, so they did really good in my opinion. And then finally, land. When it comes to this lands, there is 37 in total, and you get some lands like Burned Ruin, Clifftop Retreat, Glacial Fortress, Helios 1, Prairie Stream, Spire of Industry, Sulphur Falls, and Treasure Vault. So I'm not sure if this is the Fallout fan in me, or if it's one of those things that they're slightly maybe upgraded, but looking at this, I was more happy with the lands. But again, I'm not sure if it was one of those things that when I would see a land, I'm like, I know that place, I love that place. But again, that's why I'm saying it's going to be very difficult for me to talk about these decks, because I absolutely love the Fallout universe. Again, I'm not the biggest fan that they're doing Magic the Gathering and Thing combined. I am a big fan of Doctor Who, and I did like going and talking through that. But when it comes to Fallout, it is way more than, like, I love the Doctor Who stuff, but the Fallout stuff is way more important to me. So this is probably the only set that they've announced that I'm like, I want everything ever. When it came to the Doctor Who set, I was like, I really like that, I would want that. But when it comes to the Fallout set, I'm like, I want it all. Everything. All of it. But again, I cannot. So when it comes to this, I'm not sure if it is a bias that I think the lands are better, especially since they've added like Treasure Vault, which I'm pretty sure is the vault at the end of the DLC New Vegas, where you get all the gold and you can sneak out and stuff, or if it is just a normal Treasure Vault. Then I'm also Helios 1, again, a great card. It would have been great as that land that does the double X damage where you're allowed Blast Zone or something like that. I think the card's name is from the top of my head. That would have been good as Helios 1. I do think the lands are better, but again, I think it could be my Fallout bias. I could be wrong there. So now to answer the big question, should you buy this deck? Yes. Again, as a Fallout fan, yes, but however, if you don't want to play an energy deck, if there's no cards in it, if you're not a big Fallout fan but just want to try out the deck, it's more dependent on you. So if we're gonna get it as, I'm gonna slightly change it to, what about if Magic the Gathering just made this deck? I would probably say don't buy it. I did see in the Game Nights video, it is very good and it is very powerful. But again, I think it's just not my playstyle. So unless you are big into energy, then it's worth it. Again, I know there's like 2 or 3 energy cards that I think they should have added into it. But again, not the biggest fan of energy, so I don't really think or know many of the energy cards. I do think it's probably out of the 4 decks on one of the more powerful. I think, personally, I think it's like the second most powerful deck. I do think it is good if you just want to have a somewhat powerful deck straight out the box. But as a Fallout thing, again, buy it. If you like Fallout, if you've like saved Lee twice or even once, buy it. If you've watched literally the Liberty Prime saying democracy is not an option, just buy the deck. Sad Robot's in it and looks absolutely amazing. Second best other than the Secret Layer Sad Robot. Again, cannot talk as good as this deck actually is in my opinion. So again, it's buy it if you have the spare income. If you don't, save up for it. Just, I'll probably give this, like if I was to mark it, a 9.2 out of 10. But again, I say like 2 points is just because it's Fallout, so yeah. But as always, if there's any cards you think of they should have made, let me know in the comments down below. If there's any characters or items or anything like that, let me know. I would love to talk about Fallout stuff that they should have done or could have put in. And I actually might make a video on cards they could have put in. Like pretty much what I would like to do is get a normal card and turn it into Fallout and see what people think. So if you have anything like that, let me know in the comments down below. While you're there, remember to like, subscribe and follow and watch more of my content. But as always, if you like this video, we have a previous Magic the Gathering video here, a playlist of Magic content, a visit worth it and stuff here, and a subscribe button here, which again, I know people say it helps, it actually does help a lot. So again, please hit that and I'll see you all in the next video. This video is going to be very, very hard for me to record because it's one of those things where I absolutely love the Fallout universe. Since this deck, even the commander being shown off, I'm like, I want this. This is already my favorite deck. So being biased is a very difficult thing for me when it comes to this deck. So in this video, we'll be going over Mutated Menace. Now, when it comes to this, I haven't played 76. And then when I seen the Mothman was the commander, I looked in and watched so many hours of videos of the Mothman and stuff like that. I've literally have a previous video here where I talk about it. It's actually my most watched Magic or Fallout Magic the Gathering video I've ever made. So please, again, thank you for everyone that watched and liked that video. But now the deck is finally out, so I'm going to be talking about it, talking about the cards inside it, the commander, the sub-commander, and giving my thoughts and opinions at the very end, which again, I'm going to say now with a warning, take it with a large pinch of salt. I am going to literally, this deck could fall out and be the worst deck ever, but I will still love it. Again, it has literally, like, I love all the mutants in Fallout. I love all the stuff they're doing. I'm a mill player, so again, the radiation stuff, I'm like, nice. So again, it's literally everything I kind of love other than Eldrazi and Planeswalkers just jammed into one deck. Now, I do think they should have done a Planeswalker in Fallout, but again, I can't control that. So let's go on to the deck. When it comes to this deck, the commander of the deck is the Wise Mothman. For 1 black, green and a blue, you get a legendary creature, insect mutant that is a mythic. It has flying. Whenever the Wise Mothman enters the battlefield or attacks, each player gets a rad counter. Whenever 1 or more non-land cards are milled, put a 1/1 counter on each up to X target creatures, where X is the number of non-land cards milled this way and is a 3/3. So as you can clearly see, this is a very easy commander. You literally just keep attacking, giving more rad counters, using your other counters to proliferate and get more rad counters on everyone, to then power up and just fly over your enemies and then just pop the opponent with commander damage. So as again, I say this is a lot of 1/1 counters, a lot of radiation, and a lot of possibly adding counters on it, maybe like vigilance and stuff like that. But again, I do think already that this is going to be an amazing commander. But you cannot have a commander without a sub-commander, and to be honest, the sub-commander is very, very nice. Originally I was like, who could the sub-commander be? Because I completely forgot, because 1 and 2 were the games I played the least. But the sub-commander is the Master Transcendent. For 1 black, green and a blue, you get a legendary artifact creature mutant that is a mythic. When the Master Transcendent enters the battlefield, target player gets 2 rad counters. Tap, put target card into a graveyard that was milled this turn onto the battlefield under your control. It's a green mutant with base power and toughness, 3/3. It loses its color and creature type, and it is a 2/4. Again, this is a really good sub-commander. I could not think for the life of me. I was like, oh, it might be like a normal, like, famous super mutant, like the guy, I can't remember his name, that helps you in 3 to get the Gek, or it could be the super mutant you can get in 4 as a companion. There could be many number of things. I was thinking the tree for a while that's alive, that most people burn alive, and those screams will ever haunt me for the rest of my life. But anyway, I do really think they picked a really good sub-commander. My only opinion is their first ability is not the best. Commander's usually a 4-player game, so giving it to 1 person is not really the best. But as someone that, one of my favorite decks is milling people and then playing cards that take creatures from a graveyard, always picking other people's, the second ability is really, really good in a very me way, and I do love the sub-commander. But now let's go on to the deck itself, starting off with the creatures. In this deck there is a total of 28 creatures, and you get beautiful mutants like Marcus Mutant Mayor, Piper Wright Public Reporter, Vexen Redigal, Feral Ghoul, Hancock Ghoulish Mayor, Harold and Bob First Newmans, Jason Bright Glowing Prophet, Rampaging Yao Guy, Tato Farmer, Tireless Tracker, Watchful Radstag, Lily Bowen Raging Grandma, Myler Queen, Alpha Deathclaw, Screeching Scorebeast, Strong the Brutish Thespian, Agent Frank Harrigan. Now again, some of these are absolutely amazing. I love that they have the classic ones like Strong and Deathclaws and stuff like that. Again, a few I assume from 76, like the Giant Sloth and Stag and the Bird, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of 76, or yeah, 74, 76, can't remember the name from the top of my head. But again, there is a lot of cards that I'm happy with, that you get the Mayor, you get the Grandma, you get stuff like that. I do really like a lot of the creatures in this deck, and they do really well and combine with the Commander and Sub-Commander, which again is a really good thing. If you don't know, from now on I'm getting the instant and sorceries and combining them with spells. So in this deck you get a total of 14 spells, and you get spells just like Biomass Mutation, Nuclear Fallout, Mutational Advantage, Atomize, Raid Storm, Casualties of War, and Find/Fatality. Again, really good cards. Absolutely love all of them. Love the artwork of like all of them. The one where they're at the dining table, or the one where they're sitting there like watching each other, is great cards. When it comes to the instant sorceries, I'm happy with all of them. I love the artwork of them all. There's not really much I complain about, but I can really say that is probably or potentially the reason. It's because it's Fallout and there's no other reason than that. Again, great cards. So let's go on to the next section. The next section is artifacts. In this deck you get a total of 10 artifacts, with 5 of them being mana rocks, and you get artifacts just like Nuke and Nuke Launcher, Power Fist, Recon Craft Theta. Now I could be wrong here, because I know that the Nuka Nuka thing, because I can't remember the art, I'm not sure if it's just a missile or something, but if it's a fat man, the reason it's called Nuka Nuka is because they had to change it for the Chinese like countries. So I'm not sure if they're going with that one, or if you get it in a different country will they change to fat man. I could be wrong there. So again, if you see that card with a different name, it depends on what part of the world you're in. But when it comes to the rest, I'm really happy with the artifacts that are in this deck. Now we are going on to the enchantments in this deck. When it comes to this deck, there's a total of 8, and you get great enchantments just like Hardening Scales, Branching Evolution, Fraying Sanity, Guardian Project, Struggle the Project Purity, Inexorable Tide, Vault 87 Forced Evolution, Vault 12 the Necropolis. Now actually when it came to this, I was actually telling a friend of mine, when it comes to Fallout and the Fallout set, I'd really love the crazy guy with the puppet, but I don't really know what they could have done with it. I was looking at creatures and maybe like an instant or sorcery, but the fact that Fraying Sanity is the card with the puppet guy in it is absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that they actually put him in, since he's such a niche and not well-known character. Again, I'm happy with the vaults. Again, the vaults are all really good in my opinion, and then the rest of the enchantments are really good for the deck, and I love the art and the names of some of them. And now finally the lands. When it comes to this lands, there's 39 in total, and you get lands such like Drowned Catacombs, Hinterland Harbour, Maripisa Military Base, Nesting Grounds, Sunken Hollow, Woodland Cemetery. Again, I know the list is very low and the lands are not the best, and I'm gonna always give out about the lands when it comes to these decks unless they change it. However, my Fallout loving brain just goes, it's still good. It has good lands, the art is pretty, we have been there or know of it, we should buy this. This is possibly my favorite deck they have ever made, and that's probably a lie. Again, if they took out the Fallout aspect of it, I'm probably going to be like, no, Zaffi is probably the best deck I've seen them make, or a number of other decks. But again, because it's got mill, because it's got stealing other people's stuff, because it's got like proliferate, and the colors and the commanders are great, and the cards are great, and got really good cards in it, got really good enchantments, got Fraying Sanity with the puppet guy. This deck is very much you. You should buy it. And I'm like, yes, I want it. Very good. But again, that's why when it comes to this part of the video, take everything with what I say as a large pinch of salt. Now, again, looking through the deck properly, I'm like, it seems to be on the weaker side. But again, if I was a businessman, I would be like, people are gonna love this and buy it anyway, so let's make it not the worst, but the weakest, because it'll be one of those things where kind of the least popular decks are gonna be the more powerful ones in my opinion, so people buy it for the power, and then you get people that will love the character of the deck, but make it slightly weaker, so you kind of even out the sales. But again, that's just me, my craziness here, or my Fraying Sanity. Yeah, ow, hit my elbow off the wall. But yeah, when it comes to this video, I'm really happy with the Fallout decks. I do think that if there is even a bit of, like a tiny bit of you that goes, even buy it to just, these Fallout decks and Doctor Who decks are the only decks I would be like, if someone wants to buy it and just leave on the shelf and never open, this is the product that I'm like, that's okay. Because if it was a non-Magic the Gathering deck, I'll be like, no, open it up, use it for scraps, use it for the deck itself, upgrade it and stuff like that. But because it's like themed around a certain like video game or TV show, I'm happy with people just going, I like Fallout, I don't like Magic, so I'm gonna buy these and keep on the shelf for because as a collector myself, again, I'm happy with that type of stuff. Personally, if I was going to buy it, I would probably be using it. My only thing I would find difficult is if I wanted to upgrade the deck or change it, it would kill me to put in non-Fallout cards. So if there was like, I don't know, I think a Dublin season would go great in this deck. I'll just be like, there's no Fallout one, no. So again, I think if I did, I would play them, but they would always be the deck. There would be no changes unless they later on go, we're making Fallout packs, or here's a Fallout secret layer, and I'm like, I can put them in. They're good. I'll do that one. But again, this is the type of thing. It's mainly if you love Fallout, you should buy it. But again, even if you don't like Fallout and these decks like me resonate with you, if you like 1/1 counters, milling, taking stuff from people's graveyards, this deck is right for you. But as always, if you have any questions when it comes to Fallout, any cards you would love to see in the deck or anything like that, any cards you can think of, because I would love to make a video where I'm like, this should have been a Fallout card, here is blah blah, put in this character from Fallout. If you have anything like that, let me know in the comments down below. Remember to like, subscribe, and watch more of my content and stuff like that. But as always, I have the previous Fallout video here. I have a playlist with Is It Worth It Magic the Gathering stuff here, and a subscribe button here. And again, we're getting closer and closer to 1K, and I would really appreciate if people were nice enough to do that. And I will see you all in the next video. Have you ever wondered who's the goodest boy of all time? And if there was a deck built around the goodest boy of all time, what would that deck look like? Well, here's the question, and here's the answer, and here's the answer to the question, and the question to the answer. In this deck, we will be going over the commander, the sub-commander, and then the deck in total to answer, is this deck worth buying at the end? And again, this is a thing where when it comes to Fallout, I am going to be very biased. I love the games. It is probably one of my favorite franchises. To be honest, I would love if they made a Borderlands one, but with how Borderlands is falling as faster than them 3 rockets that you bring the ghouls to space or the moon, land, fly down, I don't really think they're going to be working together. Now, maybe the film might be good, but that's a completely different video and a completely different subject. So in this video, we'll be going over the Scrappy Savant Fallout deck. Again, Fallout being one of my favorites. Let's go through this. We're going to be starting off this video talking about the commander, and the commander of the deck is Dog Me Ever Loyal. For a red, green, and a white, you get a legendary creature dog that is a mythic. Whenever Dog Me enters the battlefield, mill 5 cards, then return an aura enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever a creature you control that is enchanted or equipped attacks, create a chunk token and is a 3/3. Now again, if you're not mad into the Fallout universe, there is people thinking, and there's a few hints, that Dog Me is a synth. Mainly because you find it right outside of Sanctuary, and also it is the only dog you see waiting there, and it's straight away liking you. So people think that it is a synth. It could not be. I'm not sure if that question was ever answered, but it would have been really good that if they answered it in the subtext or in the bottom bit, saying that if it is or not. When it comes to this, it really looks like it's going to be a Voltron deck. You pick a creature, you pick a few enchantments, you put it onto the creature or creatures, and then you attack. I do think it is a really good commander overall, especially since you get to get stuff back. But plus with radiation, I really do think it's even better, mainly because if someone radiates you and you play Dog Meat, yes, you mill 5, but I'm pretty sure you get to pick anything that was there that turn. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But without a commander, you cannot have a sub-commander. So in this deck, the sub-commander is Preston Garvey Minutemen. For 2 red, green, and a white, you get a legendary creature, human soldier that is a mythic. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a green or enchantment token named Settlement. Attach it up to 1 target land you control. It is an enchanted land, and enchant land has tap, add 1 mana of any colour. Whenever Preston Garvey Minutemen attacks, untap each enchanted permanent you control, and it is a 4/4. don't like Preston as a character. He is really annoying and just keeps doing the same thing over and over again. Again, I know it is a meme that no one likes him. To be honest, I do think they should add in the copy of him, the guy that tries to act like him in the game. But again, that is such a niche thing. People might have not known it. But again, sorry if I spoiled that on you, by the way. But this card is perfect for him. It is literally, you get a settlement and you get to control it and then get to untap every time he attacks. Now, my favorite thing about this, that it's not just the lands, it's anything. So if you put 1/1 counters on, or put auras and stuff onto creatures and permanents and enchantments and stuff, they also untap. So stuff like Wilderness Reclamation and Seaborn Muse, again, really good cards. Would also be kind of good in this deck, especially if you have tap abilities, because you can untap and before the next card activates to untap them, you can tap them for abilities and do maybe 2 or 3 tap effects per turn. I do really like it, especially since it also targets lands or settlements, as it would be now known as. But again, no matter how good of a card they make with this guy, I'm still not going to like him, even though they pretty much made a really good card with him. So onwards and forwards onto the deck. Now, of course, with this being an enchantment aura deck, there's not many creatures. In this deck, there is a total of 18 creatures, and you get an awesome creature like Kate Cage Brawler, Mr. Gutsy, Pure Steel Paladin, Anne-Marie Paladin, Codsworth Handy Helper, Maria Brown Guided Author, 3-Dog Galaxy News DJ, Veronica Descendant Scribe, Cass Hand of Vengeance, Dress Wayward Tavern Keeper. To be honest, actually looking through this creature deck, the only thing I could think of is they should have made Trash Can Carla. Just, again, I know she works for the Institute, so she might have been better in science, but I do also think because of the Minutemen and Dogmeat, the only other person that I can think of is anyone from Sanctuary, realistically, if that's the main place you put them. Again, cannot remember her name from the top of my head, but the woman that, the foresight, it tells me where Sean is. Hey, have more drugs. Again, would have been a good character, and the synth, that's another synth that works for you. I'm pretty sure he's the synth, the guy that also hacks into stuff and makes the machine if you, again, stick with the Minutemen, which if you do, wrong choice, but again, that's a different conversation, different topic. So I am happy with the creatures they have picked in this deck, and I do think, again, they work really well, and I'm happy with the characters and all they've picked. Again, I just wish there was more room. I think they should have done 5-6 decks and maybe more, but again, that's just me and my Fallout loving brain. So now we're going over the spells, which are the instants and sorceries. In this deck there is a total of 9, and you get cards like Heroic Intervention, Inventory Management, Chaos Warp, Single Combat, Megaton's Fate, and Blasphemous Act. Again, Chaos Warp, such a good card, absolutely love it, but in a previous video you would have seen I would have preferred it if the art was the Wild Wasteland perk. I remember it now, not like 15 minutes ago when I recorded the other one. But I do think overall it's really, really good. Blasphemous Act, again, a really good card. I do find the artwork not the best, but again, I'm not complaining about it either. Heroic Intervention though is such a good card. I think they should have a different variation of colors for this, because in my eyes this is Tevri's Protection but for green, and if there is, I would love to see what cards you could think of if they made a red, a blue and a white version of these, and a colorless. Let me know in the comments down below what you think it should do. But now we're going on to the artifacts of this deck. In this deck there is a total of 17 in total, but only 2 of them are mana rocks, but you get really cool artifacts like Basilisk Collar, Bloodforge Battle Axe, Masterwork of Ingenuity, Pip-Boy 3000, Junk Jet, Champion's Helm, and Pre-War Formal Wear. But again, putting stuff like Pip-Boy in it and Basilisk Collar is really good. To be honest, I wish they had a Slave Collar version, but I know why they cannot. It is very risky and Wizards try and stay PG, but again, they're doing it in a game where Bloody Mess is a perk. Great perk, by the way. Overall, I'm happy with some of these. Again, I could think of so many cards like Lincoln's Rifle, Terrible Shotgun, Pulse Grenade, Plasma Rifle, Laser Rifle. That would be really good artifact weapons, equipment type of stuff. But again, I understand that they didn't really have the space for that, but that would have been a really good deck idea in my opinion. But as always, let's just go on to the next section. Now we are going on to the enchantments of this beautiful deck, and in this deck there is a total of 17, but you get cards such like Animal Friend, Idolize, Vault 21 House Gambit, Strong Back, Vault 101 Birthday Party, Grim Reaper Spirit, Mantle of the Ancients, Almost Perfect. Again, I've talked about this in the other two videos. Vault cards are really good and a really good idea. I am really happy with the way they did that. The other enchantments are somewhat between okay enchantments and really good. Again, if you haven't seen, there was the Game Night's Fallout episode, and Strong Back did really well. That it kept being put back in. Again, if you haven't seen that video, again, I know they're way bigger and you probably watch them more than me, but again, I do recommend watching that video. It is a really good episode. But now let's go on to the lands in this deck. There's a total of 38 lands, but you get lands such like Berry Ruined, Company Vista, Cinderglade, Clifftop Retreat, Junktown, Roadside Reliquary, Roothound Crag, Scavenger Grounds, Sun Petal Grove. So usually when it comes to this type of thing, it's usually where I'm talking about how the lands make these decks look not as good. This is where the deck kind of goes down, but to be honest, with my Fallout brain, I'm like, every land is good. This could literally be filled with basics, and as long as it's Fallout art in it, I'm like, it's good, it's perfect, it's amazing. When it comes to these four decks, I personally think this is the weakest. It's not my favorite one. I do think it is the worst in my opinion. Then it goes Kaiser. No, it'll go this, Science, Kaiser, Mutants. Now that you know that. Haha. Well, that's actually a good question. What would be, if you had to place this in order from first to fourth, let me know in the comment section down below what you would place these four decks as. But again, the lands are okay to good. They're not really the best, but again, I'm not really going to be complaining because it is a Fallout product. But talking about the Fallout product, is this deck worth it? Again, as someone that doesn't play Voltron that much, or doesn't really play decks that require a lot of artifacts or enchantments or auras to put onto creatures, this deck isn't for me. I do think the sub commander for it is a really good choice. I do think when it comes to the commander, you would probably have to focus more on that and take a bunch of the cards out. I do think when it comes to like the creatures and artifact stuff, and overall they're okay. When it comes to, if we take out the Fallout stuff, I think the deck would probably be like a 6 something, 6-4, maybe 6-6. But throwing the Fallout stuff, I'm going to give it an 8-8. But again, that's just me and my Fallout brain. I do think it's one of those things that if this is your favorite deck, it's solely due to you love dog meat. It could be other reasons, but majority of the time, I'm going to say maybe 8 out of 10 players that go, this is the best deck ever, is because of solely dog meat. And I understand why. Dog meat is amazing. But if you have any questions when it comes to Fallout, if there's any cards that you would like to talk about, one thing I would love to do is get normal Magic cards and put a Fallout thing on it. So if you have any suggestions, like if there was any characters you think they should make, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to make a video on like 10 cards that they should have made. Would have been a really good thing with your comments down below. So again, I would love to make a video on that, but it depends on the comment section. But as always, remember to like, subscribe, follow me, like all my stuff, watch more of my videos, and again, here is the outro. If you like this video, we have the previous Mutate deck here, a playlist with all the Fallout, Magic the Gathering, Is It Worth It videos here, and a playlist here, and I will see you all in the next video. Then finally, we need to hail Kaiser. This video will be going over the commander, sub-commander, and then the deck itself, talking about Caesar and Caesar's Legion and the bad guys and all of this, talking about this deck in general overall, to see and answer the big question at the end, is this deck worth buying? One thing I do have to say before I continue on this is that I am a big Fallout fan. So again, I have the Nuka-Cola glasses on that let you see Cappy around the world, where I am just going to be going, I don't care if this is a 100 deck where it has a commander and 99 basic lands, I am probably going to love this. So again, take everything I say with a big pinch of salt. So we're going to start this video off by talking about the big bad himself from Fallout New Vegas, the commander being Kaiser's Legion's Emperor. For 1 red, white, and a black, you get a legendary creature, human soldier, that is a mythic. Whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, choose 2. Create 2 1/1 red and white soldier creature tokens with haste that are tapped and attacking. You draw a card and lose a life. Siege's Legion's Emperor deals damage equal to the number of creature tokens you control to target opponent, and he is a 4/4. To be honest, looking at this, I am really happy. The commander seems really strong and can do amazing things. The fact that you get 2 abilities, the fact that he is okay cost for a commander, and the abilities are really good. You get 2 soldiers attacking, you get a pretty much Phyrexian arena for free, and then the fact that you're able to do probably a large amount of damage is a really good thing, because again, it depends on how many tokens you have. So if there's a lot of board wipes and stuff, it will be mainly the first 2 being chosen, and again, him himself would possibly be a good attacker, especially if you put equipment onto him. I do like him overall, but again, we can't be talking about the commander without talking about the sub-commander, and the sub-commander of this deck is your friend slash foe slash wrinkly old raisin, Mr. House. Mr. House, President and CAO. For a red, white and a black, you get a legendary artifact creature human that is a mythic. Whenever you roll a 4 or higher, create a 3/3 colorless robot artifact creature token. If you roll 6 or higher, instead create a token and a treasure token. 4 and tap it, roll a 6-sided dice plus an additional 6-sided dice for each mana from the treasure spent to activate this ability, and is a 0/4. To be honest, without adding a lot of dice cards in, I don't really think this is going to be an amazing commander. I understand that because he is Mr. House and he controls pretty much New Vegas and the gambling stuff, that they had to add in dice rolls and stuff, because getting Snake Eyes would be worthless. But getting a 3/3 and a treasure token for rolling what, a 4 or higher is a bit especially since you have to pay to tap it to then. I think there could be a way that it would be really well, but I think when it comes to how Wizards make their product, with the commander being the main focus, I don't think there's going to be that many amazing dice roll abilities or ways to help him, unless you start adding cards from the D&D sets. And again, that would just personally, I wouldn't complain if someone did it, but again, I think the Fallout deck should be staying with the Fallout decks. I would not like to add additional cards in these. So again, I'm not the biggest fan of Mr. House. I understand why they did it and how they did it, but again, I think it's going to be a really hard payoff and a really weak card or commander if you focus on him. But now let's go on to the deck itself, starting off with creatures. In this deck, there is a total of 31 creatures, and you get creatures just like McCready Lamplight Mayor, Security Squadron, Adoras the Founder, Boomer Scrapper, Colony Antium, Ed Lonesome Eyebot, Elder Arthur Maxon, Kellogg Dangerous Mind, Overseer of Vault 76, Paladin Elizabeth Tragedy, Powder Ganger, Thrill Kill Discipline, Yes Man Personal Securitron, Desmond Freedom's Edge, Keeper of the Accord, Legret Lucian Caesar's Ace, Mysterious Stranger, Rose Cutthroat Rider, Seria Nukia's Biggest Fan, Wasteland Rider, Captain of the Watch. Again, I find when it comes to creatures, they're a bit all over the place. Again, when I first originally saw this, I thought it was just going to be bad guys, but then you just get famous characters from all over this place. This does seem to be a deck where they're like, we have a long list of characters, we need to put as many in as possible, which again, I'm not complaining about. I do like that they did it. It's just one of those things that if I seen it, I'm like, why are they here? This is a Caesar and House deck. Why are they, lore-wise? But again, I know this isn't supposed to be a lore deck, but I do think it is still a really good deck overall. But again, that could just be the Fallout nostalgia. I am happy with the cards they put in. Yes Man's in it. I always go for Yes Man. I don't think I've ever actually done a playthrough where I went with the Legion. I just physically cannot. I do like the cards, the creatures and stuff like that. But again, the only thing I would change is I do think it is too big of a world to put into 4 decks. So that is the only complaint I really see here. But now we're going on to the spells, which again, if you don't know, are the instant or sorceries. Don't worry, I'll be doing like this is the last time I'll be mentioning that. Spells, it will just be spells from the next video onwards. In this deck, you get 12 spells, and they come with a good few ones. You get spells like Secure the Wastes, Maternal Cope, Anguished Unmaking, Entrapment Maneuver, Lethal Scheme, the Nipton Lottery, Vats, Hour of Reckoning, and Runeless Ultimatum. Not gonna lie, the Nipton Lottery is probably my favorite board wipe of all time now. The fact that you literally just luckily get a random like creature on the field and then board wipe the rest. Yeah, I know it's gonna be bad most of the time, like you're never gonna get the biggest or strongest creatures. However, even if you just get a 1/1 token, you're the only one with creatures, I'm still happy with that, and it's just such a bizarre card, and that's why I love it. When it comes to the rest, they're really good, especially the Ultimatum. I do like VATS as a card and stuff like that. So again, when it comes to the sorceries, there's not really much to talk about, they're just quite good. Now we are going on to the artifacts of this deck. When it comes to this deck, there's 9 in total, but 5 of them are mana rocks. So I'll be going over the rest that are good, and they are Skull Clamp, Survivor's Medkit. Skull Clamp in a deck that makes 1/1 tokens is absolutely on point, especially since it's the Megatron Metalist's helmet from Fallout 4. It could have been the one from Fallout 3 too, but again, we don't really know, or we do know and I just don't. But again, I am happy with both of these cards. And now let's go on to enchantments. Now we're going on to enchantments in this deck. There is 11 in total, and you get enchantments such like Wild Wastelander, Battle of Hoover Dam, Fervent Charge, Marstral's Anthem, Vault 11 Voter's Dilemma, Vault 75 Middle School, Assemble the Legion Black Market, Stolen Strategy. As I've said in all the previous video, Vault cards are just on point. Black Market is such a good card in my opinion, and I'm so happy that they have it in here. And the rest is somewhat between good and amazing, like Assemble the Legion is such a good card for this type of deck. So now let's finally go on to the lands. In this deck there is a total of 36 lands, and you get lands such like Clifftop Retreat, Diamond City, Dragon Skull Summit, Isolated Chapel, Smothering Marsh, Windbrisk Heights. Not gonna lie, the Dragon Keep Skullet, or whatever the card's called, with the ink, the oil tank exploding is absolutely amazing. If you don't know that, I think that's the ending of Fallout 2. I could be wrong there, but the other lands have amazing artwork at least. I know the lands are not the best, but I'm always going to have that Fallout vision. So again, I can't really talk bad about this because I really would love this as a product, but again, I make videos on them that I can't even get the product. I know, it's crazy. I would love to actually do an unboxing of all of these, but again, looks like I can't, because from where I am, they're like 200 quid for all 4 of them. But again, if you do like to help out, remember to like, comment, subscribe, watch more of my videos. Let me know in the comments down below if there's any cards you would have loved to see in Fallout, or if there's any cards that are not Fallout themed you would like to make Fallout themed, because I would love to make a video on that. As I've said previously, remember to like, follow, and all that YouTube stuff. But now let's go on to the end part of the video. If you like this video, we have the previous one where we talk about the best boy in the world, the Dogmeat Fallout Scavenger deck. We also have a playlist with all the Fallout stuff here, and a subscribe button here, and I will see you all in the next video.